What's going on YouTube? So two of the oldest luxury SUV nameplates and two of the best selling are the BMW X5 and Mercedes GLE. Now we recently squared these two off for a comparison, but now both models have been refreshed, and there are more changes than what initially meets the eyes. We have updated designs, more powerful engines, and important tech enhancements for them to try to get an edge over each other. So which model executed better? That's what we're about to find out. We always start off our comparisons by talking about the pricing and equipment, even though that probably isn't the main consideration when shopping for these two. Beginning with the refreshed BMW X5, we have the xDrive 40i model, which is the mainstream version most people pick. The base price has increased this year, but as typical of German vehicles, we have a lot of options to add. $9,930 to be exact, which takes us to a total price of $78,425. Moving to the updated GLE, this is also the standard powertrain configuration called GLE 350. Its price too has moved up this year, and after factoring in the options, its total price is almost exactly the same as the X5, $78,325. Now this is going to be an objective comparison. We have done our best to weigh the points awarded throughout in major and minor categories, but at the end of the comparison we will sum up with our thoughts and other important considerations. With that being said, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Now you've heard me say at the beginning that the designs have been revised for 2024, although you probably wouldn't notice that at first. These are subtle updates that freshen up the already nice and classy looks, most recognizably in the lower fascias and also the headlights. Both models have revised lighting signatures, now dashes and arrows, but the BMW has projector LED lights versus the reflector LEDs in the Mercedes without the intelligent LED light option. The BMW also has premium fading turn signals, and neither have fog lights. Now heading to the sides, both have a similar rear-wheel drive proportion, and as equipped, we have 20-inch alloys on the Mercedes and 21 inches on the BMW. In the back, the changes are even less noticeable than the front, but both have some revisions, most notably to the full LED taillights. The tow ratings remain in the Mercedes' favor by 6.5% or 500 pounds. Now heading on to some of the other features, both of them have heated, power-folding, auto-dimming mirrors with blind spot monitoring. And both of them also come equipped with all the latest safety systems, including automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, automatic high-beam headlights, and highway driving and traffic jam assistance. Finally, when it comes to warranties, both have 4-year 50,000-mile basic and powertrain warranties, but only the BMW comes with 3 years of complimentary maintenance. We're just warming up here, so now it's time to head to the more important interiors. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
So walking up to the vehicles, both of course have smart entry systems and high quality key fobs. And once we actually open up the doors and view the interiors, the BMW's updated design actually looks more similar to the GLE this year. But before we get into all those details, let's talk about the seating. You might be surprised to learn that the BMW's beautiful Silverstone quilted seats are actually made from a faux leather, while the Mercedes has real leather finished in a new color called Catalana. Both have more adjustments than you can shake a stick at, along with 3-person memory, heating, and ventilation. Massaging is offered on both of them as well. Now that we've climbed inside, we can discuss the major point of cabin materials. And, unsurprisingly, both of these two use top-notch selections throughout. Our GLE has full leather covering all the door trim and across the upper dash, Plus, it's rocking the new option of piano black lacquer flowing wood from the GLS Maybach 600. The BMW also has leather head to toe and generous use of open pore wood trim. It has glass controls, but the Mercedes cancels it out with detailed metal speaker grills. Now, like I was saying, one of the biggest updates to the BMW's interior is the new dual display setup. And the gauge cluster part is 12.3 inches, just like the GLE. Both have lots of design adjustments, but BMW also includes a head-up display on most models. And coming back to the steering wheels, both are power adjusting and heated, although the BMW has a leather airbag cover, as well as heated armrest as equipped. Okay, so next up, let's dig into the major area of interior storage. They seem like they were designed by the same person because they have almost identical layouts and wireless phone charging pads up front. I already mentioned the lovely glass shifter in the BMW, and the GLE also has an electronic one, just column mounted. When in reverse, both are equipped with 360-degree camera systems. And for 2024, the Mercedes has an awesome 3D view, just like the BMW. Now let's go ahead and check out the audio systems. Overall, both sound great, but Mason and I have a slight preference for the sound of the Burmester. But as we move to the climate controls, this is where we find quite a bit of differences. First of all, the BMW has migrated its climate controls into the display. The Mercedes retains metal physical controls that are a lot less overwhelming than the X5's climate menu. Also, the GLE retains normal vents, which are easier to get the airflow pointed at you, versus the futuristic, mostly sealed off look in the BMW. However, BMW fights back with 4-zone climate on today's model, which requires another package for the Merc. Now let's focus on the infotainment systems, since they play a large role in interior functions. The display remains 12.3 inches in the GLE, and is upgraded to 14.9 inches in the BMW for 2024. Both are upgraded to the latest versions of MBUX and iDrive respectively. And overall performance and graphics are top-notch. Navigation systems, voice assistants, and detailed ambient light settings are all built in. Plus, you have built-in wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Finally, the last things to mention up front are the auto-dimming mirrors and large panoramic sunroofs. Now, even though these are not usually 3-row crossovers, you still want to have a nicely appointed rear seat for whoever might find themselves back there. And both these two deliver. The first criteria is space, and the GLE has about 9% more legroom, and the headrooms are roughly the same. Now for luxury features, I already talked about the climate controls, and the BMW also has heated rear seats. Both provide ample connections and cup holders, but the BMW has manual sunshades. Next, let's check out the cargo areas, where both have ample space. Actually, cargo volume behind the first row and second row are so similar that it falls below our 5% threshold to score a point. What is point-worthy is the fact that the BMW has handles to fold the second row from the back, and the Mercedes has a spare tire. But actually driving a vehicle is of course important, so let's go ahead and take this fight to the streets. German automakers are notorious for trying to match each other tit for tat, but this is not one of those instances because the base engines are quite different. The BMW starts off with a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder, while the GLE begins with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. To boot, the X5 actually gets a power boost for 2024, which makes the delta even larger, 375 horsepower versus 255 horsepower.
A little sample there.
Yeah, a little quick jab of the accelerator. So as we talked about a little bit at the spec dump, one of the big things about this is that our 40i model, well actually all of the powertrains are updated this year, but specifically with the 40i that we're in today, that has quite a bit more power, 40 more horsepower than last year, from our 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder paired with a mild hybrid setup. 375 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque. So you will feel more power behind the wheel, more torque.
Still the same awesome refinement,
that
though.
part stays the same.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, so there we are. Accelerating up to 60 miles per hour in the GLE 350. So like we were talking about on the outside, you just have an outrageous number of powertrain selections when you come to this GLE lineup.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not even 5. 6.
6 powertrain options. This is the standard option, so a lot of you guys are going to roll off the showroom floor with this version here, the GLE 350. So this is a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine paired with the new EQ Boost mild hybrid for 2024. That does change the power output slightly when it comes to torque. So still 255 horsepower, but now 295 pound-feet of torque, which is a nice boost. As you would expect, that contributes to the approximately 2-second 0 to 60 difference. Despite speed differences, both were designed with smoothness at the core. Their 8 and 9-speed automatics are some of the best in the business, with imperceptible shifts and dual personalities that awaken when using the sport modes. Both also have all-wheel drive as equipped. Now up to this point we haven't mentioned the transmission. We've got a 9-speed automatic transmission, and the reason we haven't mentioned it is because it just blends into the background. Yep. Totally smooth, pretty much in all circumstances. If you go hard on the throttle, get a quick response. I don't have any complaints here.
It's everything that you need in a transmission. Yeah.
Now, accelerating at a more normal pace is a good time to mention the 8-speed automatic transmission. 99% of the time, it is absolutely just blends into the background. It's a really smooth transmission. Depending on which drive mode you're in, does change the character of it, as you'd expect. You know, sport mode is going to give you snappier, faster response. Comfort mode, like we're in right now, most people will drive around in all the time in this vehicle. That right there just kind of smoothly shifts through the gears as you accelerate. Let's also talk about ride quality. There really is nothing bad to say about either model, with both having spectacularly comfortable ride and that typical solid Germanic feel. Adaptive dampers also allow them to change ride characteristics depending on the drive mode.
Here, I think what Drew said already really sums this experience up really well. This is all about the luxury. It's oozes that when you hear how quiet the cabin is, when you feel how soft the suspension is sprung, and how great it just soaks up bumps. We do have standard adaptive dampers on this model. It just does a phenomenal job of making this a very luxurious ride and drive experience. Yeah, and as far as your ride quality is concerned, this is the standard setup, as Drew mentioned, and still so good for your ride quality. We're about to go over a bridge right now. And it does a really good job. Now, we have been in other X5s, and we've been in the X7 with the air suspension. Those ride qualities are better than the standard setup here, but certainly nothing to
it's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference. And
maybe 10%.
We even have large 21-inch alloys on this model. So, I mean, the X5 is just one of those vehicles. It's buttery smooth in terms of ride quality from the start, and you can add maybe 10-20% if you go for the air suspension setups, but it's just very impressive regardless of which model you go for.
Now, as far as other driving dynamics, both have some German athleticism baked into them as well. Even though comfort is still the primary mission, the X5 comes across as a bit sharper in handling and responsive steering. Now going around that little bit of a corner and kind of merging onto the highway here would be a good time to briefly mention the dynamics of this model. Now, of course, this is a very luxury-oriented SUV, so even though it is a BMW, luxury is first and foremost. That being said, you do still have, your good basic German dynamics, which is going to be a fast-responding steering rack, good throttle response. Body control is quite nice. Switched into sport mode. Does kind of firm things up just a little bit, not too much. The steering is lightweight, kind of makes it a little faster response overall, but this is going to skew more luxurious than, say, the Audi Q5, the BMW X5. That one is going to be a little bit sportier than this GLE. I also want to talk about their auto start-stop systems, which are powered by the mild hybrid setups. Both manufacturers have done a great job here, but that being said, the seamless Mercedes EQ boost system is still the industry leader in our experience. Now you might have noticed as we were coming to a stop there, the engine went ahead and turned off before we actually came to a complete stop. That's the EQ boost at work because it powers very advanced auto start-stop.
An incredibly smooth restart right there.
Incredibly smooth. Pinnacle luxury vehicles also need to be quiet, and they both deliver library quiet cabins even at highway speed. These even beat most luxury EVs without gas engines, delivering two of the most hushed measurements we have ever tested, both of which have improved slightly from last year, by the way. This thing feels so fast. It's just so surprising that this is the base engine. All right, now...
I love this powertrain. All right.
It really is. It's just fantastic.
Let's get one of our big Car Confections signature elements, our sound level reading, going 55 miles an hour. Let's see how quiet this X5 is compared to some of the competition. Alrighty, there we go. Our official Car Confections reading, 51.6 decibels. Wow. Guys, that is so impressive. Keeps dropping on me. Alright, I think our official reading is going to be sitting at 52.7 decibels in this GLE. That is incredibly impressive. Now, as far as how that compares to the rivals, that is going to be slightly behind the refreshed BMW X5. And as far as how it compares to anything else in the segment, it is going to be the second quietest. So it's above the new Lexus RX, it's above the GV80, the Audi Q8, XT5, all of those rivals. It is going to be quieter than. So very impressive environment in here.
Finally, as far as fuel economy, you'll probably be surprised to learn that it's actually the 6-cylinder X5 that gets the better fuel economy, thanks to improvements BMW made to efficiency this year. So that's it, but now it's time to declare your winner, because that of course varies person to person.
Yeah, I think the main reasons you would pick the BMW X5 over the GLE would be the more powerful standard engine, so especially if you're comparing the 40i to the 350 instead of the 450 GLE, certainly that's a big benefit. You also get more rear seat amenities as well as a larger infotainment screen. And I think in general, the X5 is a little bit cheaper than the GLE if you want them equally equipped.
Yeah. And as far as why you would pick the GLE, More traditional interior layout, I think, is a big one, with buttons. I know a lot of you guys like buttons, and we have more of them in the GLE. More towing capacity, and you also have a better audio system with metal speaker grills. You know we like those.
Yeah, of course. And that's really where we're going to leave off this head-to-head comparison. Obviously, these two are very close to one another. You really cannot go wrong by choosing either the GLE or the BMW X5. But be sure to go down in the comment section down below and let us know which one you are taking. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By doing so, you help us to make more of these comparisons as well as our other types of videos. If you're already a subscriber, thanks for your support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.